Hi, welcome to MTC Studios. I'm Dennis Schmuland, Chief Health Strategy Officer of the U.S. Health and Life Sciences at Microsoft. And we're here to talk about how NorthStar Anesthesia is optimizing their operational effectiveness with Power BI. I have two guests with me this morning. Matt Metry, a VP of Operations at NorthStar Anesthesia, and I have Stephen Cracknell, the President and CIO of U.S. Medical IT. Well, let's start out with some introductions. Let's start out with you, Matt. Could you give us a little bit of background on yourself and your journey in NorthStar Anesthesia?
Absolutely. So I'm Matt Metry. I'm the Vice President of Operations at NorthStar Anesthesia. And a couple of years ago, I got really excited about big data, and I started to do a lot of research. And I actually went back and got a master's degree in data analytics. And through that journey, I heard about Power BI and the ability to have basically self-service power business intelligence. And I was searching for a company to help me bring this to life at my company, and that's where I met Stephen with U.S. Medical IT.
Yeah.
Well, great segue. Stephen, why don't you give us a little bit of background on yourself and your company as well?
Sure, yeah. So I'm President and CIO of U.S. Medical IT. We focus specifically in the healthcare industry. We have a very special set of needs when it comes to technology. And so that's the space where we focus. And similar timelines. Power BI surfaced itself, and we started to explore the capabilities of it, and we're blown away by how effective it was at tying together different data sources while also keeping the cost low for our clients.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank both of you for joining us this morning.
Yeah.
And let's start with a core problem, Matt. What was it? What was the compelling reason, the business pain, that compelled you to seek a solution to this problem?
Okay. So a little bit about my position. I manage operations for about 30 hospital and surgery center customers where we provide anesthesiologist and CRNA coverage. And in that business, we have really two big pressures. So the hospitals and the surgery centers are trying to save money, and that reduces our revenue. And then our providers, they want to make more money, and so that increases our expenses. So I had been searching for a way to have insights and be able to look at all this data really in a speedily fashion and uncover ways to either help my customers save money or reduce our biggest expense, which is labor expenses. And that's where I found Power BI. It was really an inexpensive solution to meet all of those different needs.
Yeah. Could you give me an idea though, how fast were your operating costs growing and your revenues or reimbursements falling? Like, how dire did you feel?
Well, just as you know, in healthcare, the pressures that everyone in healthcare is under right now, you have declining reimbursements, and our expenses just keep going up each year 2 to 3%. So there's just tremendous pressure to cut costs and also bring in more revenue. And that's the big challenge of all of my customers, which are hospitals and surgery centers, and talking to hospital CEOs and CFOs like I do on a regular basis.
So you're getting the squeeze, revenues are going down, operating costs going up, but what did you have in place to actually get a feel or get your arms around your operating costs before you looked for the solution? Like, what was it like?
Well, I'll tell you what it was like before Power BI. So before Power BI, the way we would manage our business, our executives would want to see a presentation on each of our key accounts. They'd want to look at profitability, revenue, expenses, the background of that customer. Is the customer happy with us?
Yeah.
What are the major action items that need to occur in the next couple of months with that customer? And so what we did in the past is we had a PowerPoint template, and our organization is organized in 5 different groups. So I have the 4th group that I lead, and each of these groups would put together about a 30-slide PowerPoint deck
Every month?
Every single month. It was a total manual process. You had, I think when I did the math, there were like 2,400 discrete data points that had to be pulled from HR data, our revenue accounting system, our billing company. And so this data would get pulled together, and honestly, really what just put me over the ledge was one analyst would put brackets around a number, and that would be a good thing. Another analyst would put brackets around something, and it'd be a bad thing. And there was just no inconsistency, and the next day the data was just out of date, and we couldn't really make good decisions, and I just was not proud of delivering that to our executive team.
Yeah. So instead of today's news and the trends, you were looking at yesterday's news.
It was old news.
And old news. And tell me about the analysts. They must have felt like, there was never an end to it.
It was, and I tell you, we have some of the most talented analysts that we work with. And these analysts were spending so much time in this manual data cleanup, data aggregation, just figuring out where to go to find the data. Unfortunately, I wasn't getting what I really needed out of the analysts, was to tell me why and to give me recommendations on what we should change to either save money or potentially bring in more revenue. All their focus was just gathering the data.
Yeah.
It was really non-value added.
Yeah. So you weren't getting your investment in these analysts that you had hoped.
We were not at all.
Yeah. Okay. So how many facilities do you have, or how many divisions and sites and locations? You're across quite a few states.
We
right?
are one of the fastest growing healthcare companies. We have over 200 hospital and surgery center customers, 2,000 employed anesthesiologists and CRNAs in 20 different states. So I personally cover Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas. I've even gone as far as Boston to take care of customers.
So all of these sites, the leaders of each of these sites would look at these reports by the time they're produced, and they would basically say, yeah, this is like looking through the rearview mirror instead of through the windshield, right? And it must have felt like you guys were like running in place, burning a lot of calories, but not getting to your destination. Right. So what was the vision for your solution? You must have said, that was kind of the way things were, but what was kind of like your dream state or the ideal state and your vision for a solution?
So the template that we, really the standard, my boss is a very, very smart gentleman, and we had a PowerPoint deck that I had to make sure that what I did in an analytics tool looked exactly like this PowerPoint deck. Yeah. And so what I was able to do with Power BI, and actually I showed this to a few people recently, and they could not tell the difference between PowerPoint and Power BI. It looked so much similar. I connected to, with the help of US Medical IT and their assistants, connected to 6 different data sources to pull in live data that is able to be refreshed hourly if necessary from our HR system, our billing system, multiple data sources. And so now this dashboard, all we have to do, we don't even have to click a button, it's automatic. Every time you open it, it has the freshest data. We're able to get this out to all of our key leaders. They can access the data on their cell phone, their iPhone, their iPad, their Surface, their computer. Everywhere they go, they have access to the most current data. And the best thing is that I know it's 100% accurate because we've removed all of the human error because of the manual process.
Yeah. So you've created a system wherein the frontline leaders now actually have their own dashboards in Power BI.
Absolutely.
You can look at them. I mean, Power BI sounds daunting in and of itself. How, and you said this is self-service, how easy is it really for somebody that isn't knowledgeable in business intelligence and analytics? sounds threatening.
It really is a piece of cake. What has really just astounded me is these analysts that I work with. They're young folks. They're very sharp, and what they've been able to do is take some of these basic Power BI templates and just run with them. And you can literally connect to a few data sources and have a report ready for production in a couple of hours, and you can gain insights.
Yeah.
And in our organization, we probably have 15 different reports that are viewed at least once a week, most of them once a day, by multiple key leaders in the organization to make decisions. It's sort of like having a crystal ball, and anytime you get a question about your business, most of the time you can go to one of these reports and you can get the answer almost instantly.
Yeah. So how has that changed the way you're able to utilize your analysts today?
Can I show you? I think
Go
I'd
right
like
ahead.
to just
You bet. Yeah.
show you an example. This is an example of an OR utilization report that actually one of our analysts was able to integrate the R statistical language into Power BI, and we take our billing data and we're able to look at a lot of different views and show our customers in a heat map fashion, or if we want to show them a bar chart. You can access this on your mobile. We can actually share this data, this report, with a customer with row level security, so the customer only sees their specific data. And we're able to show customers how they're using our very costly anesthesia resources, and sometimes not to their fullest extent. So as an example, in the month of February, this customer had utilization of only 47%. We really want to target about 70 or 80%. Mm-hmm. And so we're able to slice and dice this data and have it accessible not only to our analysts, our leaders, but our customers. And we can recommend better decisions for them for their anesthesia model and their resources.
Great, that helps a lot. Matt, you must have looked at other options besides Power BI. Like, how was it that what settled your decision and convinced you that Power BI was the right solution for you?
It really is an interesting story. So about midway into my master's in data analytics, I was talking to everyone in my class, and these were folks that have been in business intelligence for a long, long time, and trying to figure out a good resource. And one of the gentlemen in my class, he gave me 3 different options. He said, Matt, check out Power BI, check out this option, check out this option, and here's a consulting company to call. I called the consulting company, and they wanted to charge me $10,000 just to come and look at our SQL databases, and not even get a solution in place. And when I found out about Power BI, I did a little bit of initial resource, actually connected with US Medical IT, for an investment of honestly under $50,000 and upfront costs and recurring costs of maybe $10 per month per user, we're able to get this world-class business intelligence to all of our key leaders and also our customers.
So you're telling me that, what I usually hear is that most organizations say, first we have to build an enterprise data warehouse. And then after $250,000 and 12 months, if it's even live, then they can begin pulling and doing what you're doing today. Are you saying an organization can do this without an enterprise data warehouse?
I can tell you that if you have data that's in a SQL database, that's fantastic. Even if you have data just in disparate Excel files or Salesforce.com, any really organized data you can connect to in Power BI, even unorganized data. You can pull it together, and you can either try to do it on your own or link up with a good partner like US Medical IT. And with a very minimal investment, you can start having insights within hours. Some of the most complex problems, it might take you a week to figure out.
Matt, I'd like to get a better idea as to how long it took from the time you kind of set out to solve this problem to the time you actually were finished and were going real time in self-service and mobile business intelligence. Could you give me the time frame for all? Because most of the people say with business intelligence projects take a long time.
Well, this project took about 90 days, and it was a very complex project. We had data coming from multiple different data sources, from our billing data, our HR data, our revenue data, data on multiple different spreadsheets. So what we started out with initially was a whiteboarding session. Actually, with US Medical IT, we put all of our ideas on a whiteboard, and we sort of put down the thoughts of what might not be possible, and we just put it on the board. And we took that sketch and those ideas, and we started to take it into production. Stephen's team worked on a lot of the DAX formulas and getting it into Power.
What's a DAX formula?
That's the data analysis, is that right? Database analysis, analytics formulas, that's Microsoft language. So we worked through that, and we started having most of it working probably after about a month, but there were some really challenging pieces. One of the things that Stephen's team helped us with was getting a lot of the data into SharePoint, and Power BI can easily connect to SharePoint, and our team can easily go into SharePoint and update information as it changes. For instance, a development at one of our hospitals, an action item, which once it's in SharePoint can be pulled into Power BI. So from start to finish, about 90 days, and now all of those manual reports are a thing of the past, and it's accessible anytime on a mobile device or iPad or computer.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you did most of the integration work, US Medical IT. That sounds like a bird's nest of data connections. What was it like to link all those into Power BI?
It was not hard, and I think in a large part we can thank NorthStar Anesthesia, because this was a well-worn road in the sense that they're a very analytical organization, and so they've been doing this just very slowly. So what we were able to do is bring speed to the table. So we were still connecting these. There were challenges, obviously. A lot of organizations store data in spreadsheets. I know there was a lot of contract data that was important to set thresholds against. And so all of that needed to be brought into a more table-based format like SharePoint. And so there was some heavy lifting there, but obviously we got it done in just a few weeks.
Yeah. So the incredible contrast from the start at time 0 to 3 months, you must have gotten some kind of reaction from your teams, the anesthesiologists, the executives.
Disbelief. Yeah.
I can tell you the first meeting that we actually went live with it, our executive team did not know it wasn't the old PowerPoint deck, because it almost looked exactly like it.
Yeah.
And our chief medical officer for NorthStar Anesthesia actually said, "Matt, I want to hug you. This is amazing that you were able to pull this off."
Steve, how did you get to know NorthStar, and how did your business relationship evolve over time on this project?
Yeah, we'd reached out to Matt, asked if he was interested in doing a whiteboard session. We had a couple of communications back and forth. I think the problems were, driving that conversation between us, because he was trying to get these issues solved while he was looking at all the alternatives. We ultimately sat down together with him and his analysts, and we found out that they had a great platform. Like everything about their reporting, they knew what they wanted to see, and they were very structured. and their data sources were there. It was just too rigid. The system was, you're trying to pull data from these 6 different systems, and the 2,400 data points is a prime example. So how do you give them that opportunity to say, hey, this doesn't need to be a 4-man, 40-hour work week kind of project. We think we can automate that whole thing. All those 24 data points, let's just tie them directly into Power BI and automatically refresh that. So yeah, that was exciting to be able to release that much value that quickly.
Yeah. So you're a solution provider. You work with a lot of clinics, hospitals, physicians. What turned you on to Power BI? Well, like what drew you to it, and what's been your experience with it? And maybe you can show us some examples as well.
No, absolutely. We're a Microsoft shop. Straight up, we've been deploying Office 365 and Azure and EMS and doing a lot of infrastructure work. We know the opportunity that sits with business intelligence in healthcare. It's always been, though, out of reach for our clients. We focus specifically on mid-market and SMB clients, and those folks, just the problems you were describing of creating that data warehouse and the output of cache that's required to get to that state where you can start to build these reports, it was too overwhelming for our clients.
Right.
Power BI comes along, it's intriguing to us, we start to explore it, and the capabilities that are there, it's essentially Office 365. What Office 365 was to business productivity tools, Power BI is to business intelligence. It basically lowers the bar. It used to be that you have a huge outlay to get the kind of infrastructure that Office 365 can offer. Same thing with Power BI. It just lowers that down so that we can come out to folks like Matt and have really meaningful conversations, and within a few weeks start delivering some significant value. Yeah.
Well, maybe you could show some examples of some of the work that you're doing with customers and kind of bring this to life and show some other examples of how to optimize operational efficiency.
So one of the things we've done with Microsoft is that we built a set of showcase reports. And so I'll go out. These are available online, and everybody can get to them. I think there'll be a link for you guys. But these are just some sample reports. This is, I would call it, dummy data that we're looking at here. So the real value, I've got a couple that I'd like to kind of talk through, but this particular one, classic example where we've got a situation where you're trying to track your budget. You set a budget at the beginning of the year and it always goes off. Now, one of the situations is, when do you need to get involved again? Is it just a small variance, or is it something that is getting to a point where it's going to be a real issue and we need to really tackle it right away? So we've created this really simple report. This line down the middle represents the actual budget that was set at the beginning of the fiscal year. And these different colored bar charts here represent the different locations that are responsible for their budget. And so right here we can really quickly identify which of these particular locations are the outliers, the ones that we probably need to get involved with at a C level to make sure we have the right budget in place, and if something's going offline, then we can actually start to address it. So if you just click on any one of these, you can start to zero in on the exact differential that you're looking at for these particular expenses. You can obviously see here that the dark blue is probably my problem child in this case, so I can simply focus just on the dark blue clients and start to see what this variance looks like. I can switch from case volume to total units to total expenses and find out that, we've got a underperforming, overspending group here that we need to definitely kind of have a meaningful conversation with. So that's one example. And so I'll switch to another we've got here. I like this one in particular because it's actionable. Like, we love to be able to come into an organization and say, hey, what are your problems that we can help you solve? And the great value release is when you can take two different data sources, bring them together, compare the two, and put yourself down the middle, some sort of threshold. So how can we create a situation where we can really identify it and then push that information into the field where it can be actionable? So here, what you're looking at here is, the question is, our labor costs are climbing, but my patient volume has stayed the same. So why are my costs increasing while my revenue is not? And so we can look at this particular table. This is a sample of 3 different individuals, and what we've done is we've integrated 2 different data sources, their clock-in time and the surgery start time. And so from here, we can say, really, this little yellow bar here represents the time we want them to show up. And these 3 individuals all have their own color. So you can identify that, in particular, this purple individual seems to be coming in excessively early. and we've got maybe some issues of excessively late with one of the other individuals. And so we can, with the right design of this report, we can push this out into the field so that individuals that are managing these folks can have access to this report on a daily basis. But if I just click on the purple section here, I can find out that, you know, it's Jane Doe that's causing this particular problem. We want her to be 15 minutes early, and she's coming in on average 0.67. So that's time for us to sit down, have a conversation, and find out what we can do about kind of normalizing that particular set of data.
Great.
So those are a couple examples. Again, they're available on the web. People can start to poke through them and see if they would apply to their business as well.
Great. And where would they find that on the web?
If they go out to powerbi.microsoft.com, there's a solution showcase right there. Actually, a shorter link would be Microsoft or US Medical IT/Power BI, and they can see it all right there.
Okay. All right. Good. So back to you, Matt. Were there any clear bottom line benefits that you were able to realize, and in how much time? And then, were there any surprises, any things that you hadn't expected to find and discover?
So, a really simple example, we had a hunch that we were not billing for all of the insured patients that we could. And so with Power BI, we were able to take data that one of our hospital customers supplied to us and match that up with data that our billing company was tracking and see the difference. And by looking at the difference with identifying patients that the hospital tracked having insurance that could reimburse us, we're able to go back and rebill those patients. And I think we collected it $50,000. That
Right off the bat.
That analysis took maybe an hour. That's low-hanging fruit.
And that was just one client, right, that you had analyzed?
That's just one of our 200 customers. Another example, labor is our biggest expense, being anesthesiologists and nurse anesthetists, CRNAs. So we're able to analyze our data, our time force data that shows when these providers clock in, when they clock out. We're also able to match that up to our billing data, which has the start of a case and the end of a case. And actually the minimum start of the first case of the day and the last end time of the last case of the day. And so looking at that data, matching it up in Power BI from different data sources, we've identified nearly $1 million of potential to save labor expenses. And so we have an action plan to go through that and reap those savings right now. Go ahead.
I think one of the interesting things here is that I think these findings came from the fact that they were able to release their analysts from doing this monotonous, repetitive work, and then they were able to go out there and do these custom reports and look for these opportunities to save money.
To do what they're originally hired to do.
That's right, absolutely.
You just hit the nail on the head. These are very smart people, and we want them to give us insights instead of doing all the data cleanup.
So their job satisfaction must have skyrocketed.
Well, they're happy, and I think that they're excited and they're creative now that they have a tool that allows them. I mean, nobody likes data cleanup.
Right.
It's not fun. And so when they can focus on putting data together, doing joins easily, and looking at insights and giving recommendations, it really energizes them. And honestly, we get a lot of value out of it, not only at our customer, at our company, but what we're able to in turn go and deliver to our customers with recommendations to help them save money and improve their operating room utilization, improve their surgeon satisfaction and their patient satisfaction.
Let's talk about productivity of your teams, your anesthesia teams, your staff, your providers. Sure. Have you found a way to utilize your data to improve their productivity, enable them to do more in the same time or less time, or do new things that they really couldn't or weren't doing before? Any ideas there?
Well, so some of the things that, and we have a whole suite of reports now with labor productivity. What I'm most proud of recently is we have a very senior CRNA leader at our company that was trying to make some staffing decisions, make some OR utilization recommendations to one of our major hospital customers. We were able to share a couple Power BI reports with her that she accessed on her iPad on the fly at a customer 10 minutes before a meeting. She got insights. She was able to go into that meeting with a hospital COO, make a recommendation. It made total sense to this leader, and we just looked fantastic because we knew not only our business, we knew their business, sometimes more than they understood their business. Absolutely amazing.
And has that turned into an advantage for you in the marketplace?
It has, because in the past, we could do a lot of this analysis, but we could only do it a few times. It'd be a major project.
Right.
Now we can do this hundreds of times.
Yeah.
So the frequency and the ease and the fatigue that our analysts had just, now it's totally decreased.
Yeah.
I have to say, you can't overemphasize how powerful this row-level security is. The ability to go in there and say, for this client, they get to see just this data. So an analyst can come in here and build a report and then be able to share it with all of the clients and the relevant employees that need to see that same information. So build it once, share it everywhere. And that row-level security really enables that.
So you can set the security by what? Geography, user role?
Whatever you want. It literally is the row
Data
of data in the actual databases that are sitting there. So you can go all the way down to say, I only want to share this row of data. Yeah.
One of our major hospital system customers, which actually has a lot of potential for us to grow business with, they're very analytics savvy. They have data scientists, in their perioperative team analyzing data. And recently we met with some of their leaders and we talked about some of our Power BI capabilities. We actually shared through row-level security a few reports.
Nice.
And this customer is just wowed by our ability to track this data. And I'll tell you what they told us. They said that there's probably other anesthesia providers out there that could have as low of a cost or maybe be as productive, but they can't prove it like you can. They can't share this data and have that accessible to the customer like we can.
Right, right. Steve, any other comments from you?
You know, I think that overall, the reason why we went with Power BI, made that investment with our company is because we can offer really quick value. We know there's a need out there, particularly in healthcare, to be able to go in there and analyze these different data systems. All the churn that's happened in the last 5 to 10 years of technology being implemented, now you've got these different disparate systems and people still need to operate efficiently. So we can come in there and help them tie these systems together without the big painful data lift into a warehouse and be able to say, all right, what are your specific problems? What reports are you running today, and how can we duplicate those in a more efficient fashion? And then how do we get to this next level of diving into your next year, the next problem, and see if we can solve that?
Yeah. As I talk to customers, many of them say that, clinical efficiency and quality is important to compete, to win contracts. But to really grow and survive this transition from fee-for-service to fee-for-value, it really is about optimizing your operational efficiency and finding where you can cut costs out. One last question to you, Matt. What advice would you have to your peers that may be looking for a business intelligence solution to optimize their clinical or their operational efficiency?
I think a lot of times, especially at the executive level in healthcare organizations, we sort of jump to solutions too quickly. And so what I would recommend is get a whiteboard and brainstorm and sketch out exactly what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, then you're just going to run around in circles, and you're not going to have a solution that meets your needs. And secondly, link up with a consultant, an expert like US Medical IT that can help you rapidly brainstorm and get a solution in place and start having insights. You really want to do something like that.
Great. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for investing your time today. This has been a pleasure interacting with you and hearing both of your stories. Again, look forward to continuing to work with you in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.